Today, we're going to be giving a presentation on how students and staff perceive course evaluations and engage with class reps. I'm Esther, and this is Callum.
Hello, my name is Macaulay. Currently, I'm fourth year stats, but when we did this project, it was last year, and I was fourth year statistics and psychology student. So, just to begin with some general background to this study, our primary interest was trying to understand how students and lecturers view feedback and the different channels through which they give them. So, yeah, the main purpose of evaluations generally is to improve the student learning experience and the content in the course, and to give students some sense of control over the direction of their learning, and particularly those students who feel like they need more support. And also, we want to control the quality of the courses. If lecturers don't know how the students are perceiving the courses or their time in the lectures, then they don't actually have a way to evaluate their own performance and how to improve in the future. So there were four primary research questions from the perspective of the students and the lecturers. Firstly, from the perspective of the students, we were interested in how the students engage with staff evaluations and the different forms these are presented in through emails or in-class conversations. And then we wanted to know from the lecturer's perspective, how do they deal with the information when they have then received it, and how do they return their thoughts on that feedback back to the students? We wanted to know whether in-class discussions and various different forms and methods of giving and receiving feedback would improve people's thoughts on it. And secondly, how, when lecturers then return their thoughts and the feedback to the students, how is this the best way of delivering that so the students feel like they have had some influence or control or understand why things have or have not changed in the course. So these results came from a combination of surveys that were sent out to students and staff, and then focus groups where we took students in and spoke to them for a few minutes regarding various different things. The survey responses were a series of questions on a Likert scale, just trying to gauge general feelings on how students and staff perceive evaluation is used, the delivery process. And yes, so the project was funded by the university, and it was primarily conducted by us and two other students who could not make it today, who were third year math students. The student survey, we got 53 students, which is an okay response rate. Obviously, there's a few hundred students in the course, but 53 is still enough to make some good inference. And a similar number of responses from the staff. And the discussion group was 20 students, and that was actually a really, really good amount, and we were able to get a lot of good data from these people.
So from the first set of results is showing the student responses based on the student survey. I think the first important point to note is how students feel that lecturers at the positive changes in teaching based on the feedback that students are giving. And from this, 58% of students said that they don't agree that lecturers are having any positive changes when based on the feedback they give, and 23% are neutral. So that's like a very large majority of the students that feel that their feedback isn't correctly or positively acted upon. Next to note on this is, has the feedback been made useful changes to the course? And again, a large majority of students disagree or feel very neutrally about this. And then the last point, another important point to note, is how they feel that class reps effectively carry forward their concerns to the lecturers. And a change from the other two is that they do feel 65%, which is a large majority, do feel that their concerns are correctly carried forward through the class reps to the lecturers.
Yeah, so when we asked students if they felt that they'd be able to speak with their class rep if they had any issues with the course or to suggest improvements or evaluate the course, and 55% said that they weren't sure, and 28% said no. And likewise, when we asked students if they know who their class reps were, then around about a fifth of student responses said they didn't know who their class rep was at the time. So again, this is just kind of indicating how students interact with class reps. So if, as Esther said, if they do give feedback to class reps, then they're confident that they'll probably take it forward. But there seems to be maybe a wee barrier here in terms of knowing who the class rep is and then having that confidence to actually speak to the class rep if there was an issue.
So now looking at the staff responses from the survey, we can see that some of the feedback that staff are getting is having a little bit of an impact on the way that staff feel. 41% of lecturers are saying that some of this feedback can be difficult to interpret. From the next point, based on training, whether staff have enough training to cope with the student feedback that they receive, we see that again, 34% of people do feel that they are not properly equipped to be able to carry forward with the student feedback due to maybe just training, resources available, and other things like that. Students, for the majority, a lot of staff do know that students also know that why they are asking for feedback and the positive effect that this can have for both the lecturer and the students. So from another two questions are asked was based on class reps, and 38% of the staff do agree that they have contacted his class reps in order to ask for student feedback. On at least one occasion, I have been contacted by the class reps with student feedback. So from this, 50% of lecturers agree that they have been asked questions by the class reps. So the class reps are, again, actively forward taking concerns to lecturers based on what other students have been told. There were some key points that we brought up and spoke about and that were answers. So the first was, how is your feedback acted upon? A lot of the time, students didn't know how their feedback was acted upon. They didn't really see any changes from things that they gave forward to the lecturers or maybe asked about or brought up when they had gotten surveys done.
Yeah, so how the staff respond. Sometimes the students felt, one, that the responses came too late. For example, students would review at the end of the year, and then any changes to the course they wouldn't feel any benefit from. But also that things are unclear why certain things would be changed or wouldn't be changed. So the biggest thing that we found in the discussion groups was that students would appreciate in-person talking, is maybe at the 5 minutes of every lecture or at the end of an evaluation series, where the teacher can have a discussion with the class people or the students in person and actually discuss why certain decisions were taken and how things can be improved during term time and while there's still a few weeks left in the course, so that they can actually see the improvements be implemented.
Right. So some further questions that we could maybe put out there just for everyone to think about is, what is the point of course evaluations for student feedback to staff? And are the class reps adequately supported in order to engage with both staff and students to help build a better relationship between them and help student evaluations be more accurately used by both students and staff?
And I would just like to say on the class reps, we saw that there was wide variation in the lecturers who received and had communication with the class reps, and also from the students' perspective, how many students actually felt comfortable or felt good channels to bring up any questions or queries or problems they had with the course to the class reps. So I think that these are the channels that need to be made more robust and more clear, so that students feel like their representative is, one, will listen to them, and two, will be able to effectively bring up critiques or problems with the course that will be effectively implemented by the lecturers. And with that, I don't think we've got anything else. So I would like to thank you very much for your time and wish you the very good rest of your day. Thank you.